Amen. Hallelujah. In the name of Lord Jesus Christ, we shall continue our study. Let's all sing hymn 392. 392. Okay, let's all pray in one accord. Okay, hallelujah. In the name of Lord Jesus Christ, we shall continue to study the characters from the book of Judges. At this point, up to this point, we have focused upon the only female judge, who is Deborah, in the book of Judges, chapter 4. Yesterday, after the class, I took some time to recap in my mind what I said during the class. And I did have a little concern over the content, over the message that I shared toward the end of the class. When we talk about the battle, when we talk about the battle that Deborah engaged and won, we share a few points. Number one, we talk about her simply trust. Okay, her simplicity in the message of the Lord, in the promise of the Lord. Okay, this is the first thing that we shared. Second, we talk about she is not there to fight for her self-glory, self-seeking. Okay? So, but as we toward the end, we talk about she was able to step up and take on the baton, take on the responsibility, take her decision in her service based upon the need not based upon her personal preference. This is the part I want to go back and spend a little bit more time to talk about it, given the fact that some of you might feel quite uncomfortable with the example that I mentioned. Toward the end of the class yesterday, I told you that in the old days, when we approach a person in need of new workers, instead of asking, will you do it? We are here to tell you that you need to do it. Okay? That was the old day approach. And some of you might feel strongly against this kind of concept, feeling that is disrespectful, inconsiderate, and not sensitive enough. Okay? I understand in this generation we need to talk about being considerate, being more sensitive of how being nice, be gentle, be courteous. Okay? I understand that. And my point was not for you to feel the obligation that you need to take on anything and everything that the church asks you to do. Otherwise, you are a bad worker. That's not my point. My point is, I believe strongly a genuine, true, faithful worker, when they are required or when they are asked to help, the first consideration is never about whether I like it or not. Okay, that's the sole point that I try to mention. A genuine worker will always ask, is there a need or not in the church? Even I am inexperienced, even I'm afraid, even I do not really want to put this extra effort in handling the new giving assignment. I want to run away. I have other things that I want to do. I don't want to spend that much time. There are a lot of I. Okay? My preference, my delight, all those kind of things. But I believe that in a good worker, that this is never the priority. You always contemplate upon, is there a need in the house of the Lord? Okay? That's my sole point. That's the point I try to bring up. Again, I'm not here to tell you that you are obligated to take anything the church asks you to do. You need to evaluate. Okay? Agree upon every single task doesn't mean you are a good worker. Maybe it just never goes through your mind. Okay? Your strength is limited, your time is limited, your energy is limited. So you do need to evaluate. But as you are evaluating, this is the primary consideration. Is there a need of me? If so, so be it. Okay? So that's the point I try to mention. And also you have to remember, what is your status? In the Bible, we have the status of sonship. But at the same time, we have the status of servant. Okay? God sees us and treats us like the son. But for you and I, we shall view ourselves and take on the title of the servant. Servant is a nice way to put it. The Bible actually uses the word slave. Okay? So your self-assessment, your self-recognition is that I am only your slave. Even out of His abundant mercy and grace, God said, oh no, you are my beloved son. Okay? Only when you realize that you are a servant of the Lord, you are qualified to be called the Son of God. Okay? These two works together. So as a servant, as a slave, think about it. Do you really get a say of what you want to do or what you don't want to do? In the old days, slave is an object, is a possession owned by the master. So whatever master tells you to do, you just have to do it. So that's the mentality that we should equip in our mind. We are only your servant, your slave. So we will do what you want us to do. We will go where you want us to go. Okay? That's how we should demand ourselves. Okay? So in the future, when you are giving holy work, please, the first thing that in your mind should not be whether I like it or not. Okay? The first thing should always be by evaluating and observation. You should ask, the first question is that the church has a need of me. Okay? And from there, you make your decision. All right? So that's what I want to re-emphasize from yesterday's lesson. And for today, again, we will continue to talk about Deborah. We want to talk about the famous Song of Deborah. That's in Judges chapter 5. Judges chapter 5. This is more than just a song of victory. Deborah led the Israelites defeat a powerful enemy. They were able to defeat the enemy who oppressed them for 20 years. They were able to reestablish their dignity in this dreadful generation. So she wrote a song of Deborah. However, this song is not so simple. When you read, okay, I'm under the assumption you read it. Did you read it? All right, you guys either are not looking at me or you are not responding. Fine, I will be considerate and sensitive. So I will not ask you to raise your hand if you have not read it. Okay? See? I still have a heart. Yeah. So you should have read Judges chapter 5, the Song of Deborah. If you only read it quickly, yeah, God came, God helped, we win the victory, you might only think that the Song of Deborah is nothing but a song of victory in praising of her work. It's not. It's far more than that. It's way more than that. Song of Deborah is not only a song of victory, but it's also a song of condemnation. A song of victory and the song of judgment. For those who devote their life for the Lord, those who commit in the great mission of God, it's a song of victory. But for those who denied, reject, and flee away, it becomes a song of condemnation throughout the thousands of years until today, that was read by many, shared by many, and known by many until today. So it's not just purely a praises of victory, but it's also a voice of shame for those who failed. Okay? Now let's go to chapter 5. In chapter 5, verse 6. Chapter 5, verse 6. There are a few characters or a few portions that we want to cover today. Chapter 5, verse 6. In the day of Shamgar, which is another judge, okay? In the day of Shamgar, son of Anath, in the day of Jael, the highway were deserted, and the traveler walked along the byways. Verse 7. Village life ceased. It ceased in Israel until I, Deborah, arose a mother in Israel. Okay? At this point, you might feel, wow, what an arrogant woman. Okay? You might feel that, wow, she's so proud. She mentioned that I'm Deborah, the mother of Israel, until I arise. Okay? You know what? This is not how we should look at this song. There are a few things about the verses I just read that you need to pay attention to. Number one, the first group of the people, the first group that was mentioned in here, that it might be very difficult for you to find since you read in English version. Okay? But if you go back to, I know this is hard. If you go back to the original text in Hebrew, when you mention about the village life, right? Right? It says that the village life ceased, right? In the original text, it's not. It's the chief or the leader. It's not just life. So if you put a new vocabulary into this sentence, it will give you a different perspective of this verse. Here it says that in the day of Shamgar, the son of Anna, in the day of Jael, the highway were deserted, the traveler walked along in byway, and the leader ceased. It ceased in Israel until I, Deborah, arose. Okay? That shall give you a different perspective of this message. What do you see in here? Number one, they are pathetic. Okay? They are so oppressed. They are under great oppression. No? Number one, the first one that we see is their social condition. They are unable to even take the regular way. They have to hide in the byway. When they travel, they always have to take this small, narrow road. Why? Because they no longer control the safety of those major roads. You have to understand, in a country or in a territory, at that time they are not a country yet, but in a dominion, in a controlled province, in a dominion, the road is very much the blood vessel that flows through the body. Only through the main road people can travel, doing business, passing message, sending military strength. So road is like the blood vessel that floating through your body, carry the nutrient and remove all the filth from your system. That's how important the main road is. But in the time of Shamgar, before the time of Deborah, it says that the Israel, they were so oppressed, they live like cockroach, that they are not allowed, dare not, to even use the main road in their own country, in their own territory. That's how pathetic they are. Okay? And what is the reason? It's because, of course, the oppression of the enemy. The second reason here says that the leaders fled. The leaders ran away. Deborah, definitely, she was not the only able person in the entirety of Israeli community. We are talking about millions of people. Okay? When they enter into the land of Canaan, they are numbered probably over 2 million in population, both women, men, and children. Okay? Men alone, 600,000. Plus, women and children, we are talking about a community over 2 million. And out of that 2 million people, there must be other talented and gifted, able and powerful leaders given gift from the Lord. These are the leaders of Israel, entrusted by the Lord, giving power by the Lord. But when it comes to oppression, they fled, they hide, they hid themselves. They hid themselves. Why? Because they don't want to take the responsibility, neither do they want to face the pressure on their shoulder. So, brothers and sisters, as we say that the son of Deborah is not only a son of victory, it could also be a plate of shame that has been, the people, the shameful, are carved onto the tablet and remembered in thousands of years. So the first group that was humiliated, embarrassed, and being remembered as coward for thousands of years is the leader who are giving special power, ability, right, talent, and gift. But under the reality, this is the reality. When it comes to reality, these smart people, smart leader, decide to abandon their posts and they hide themselves to dodge their responsibility. Yes, this is a shame to be remembered in thousands of years. So, brothers and sisters, it's not about your talent. It's always about your courage. Deborah is not smart. Is definitely not the smartest. Okay, she's just a woman. In that, you have to remember that for Jewish community, they are male-dominated society. Okay, so it's not easy for them to recognize the authority of a woman. She has her limitation. She has her obligation. She is the wife of Lapidoth. So she got her work. She got other things to do. But at this time, when all other leader, men leader, male, when the leader ran away, when those who are able refused to take on the baton, Deborah stood up and condemned all the leaders in that generation. So, in the Song of Deborah, a song of victory, you and I, we are also included in this song. Maybe not in time of Judges, but in our generation, the Lord also composed a song of victory for this generation. And you and I, we will be mentioned and named in this song. But some of you who are able and talented will be listed as the hero that changed an era. But some might be known as the coward who dodged the responsibility and ran away. Again, you pick, you choose, and you will be remembered. Okay? So, the first thing that we learn is that those who are able, even they are able, okay? They are able. The able might not be the one that take on the responsibility. That's why Apostle Paul said that what is required of the stewards, nothing but faithfulness. It's not talent, it's not gift, it's faithfulness. Okay? So this is the first thing that we see, that the leader who were giving power decide to abandon their duty. Second, let's go back to Judges chapter 5, verse 2. Verse 2. Verse 2 says that when leaders lead in Israel, when the people willingly offer themselves, bless the Lord. If you continue to read in verse 14. 14. From Ephraim were those who rooted in Amalek, and after you, Benjamin, with your people, and from Machai, ruler came down, and from Zebulun, those who bared the recruiter's staff, and the princes of Issachar were with Deborah, as Issachar, so was Barak. Okay? Why do I mention this name? Oh, you know what? Continue in verse 18. Zebulun is the people who jeopardized their life to the point of death. Naphtali also on the height of the battlefield. The second thing, or the second group that was mentioned, is the small people. Insignificant. Out of 12 tribes, some tribes are very famous, powerful. They are considered as leader tribe. Okay? But some are unknown, unmentioned. You do not find or hear much leader or heroes from those tribes. Zebulun, tell me, out of the tribe of Zebulun in the entire Bible, who do you know from the tribe of Zebulun? Zero. How about Naphtali? You don't even know what Naphtali is. That kind of food from Italy. Naphtali is one of the 12 tribes, but again, unknown. Is there any hero, leader, kings from Naphtali? No. No. Zebulun, Naphtali are always the little guy, unknown, insignificant. Different than, or even Benjamin. Benjamin was the youngest. Benjamin, yes, you heard about them, but not really good thing. They were almost wiped out in the book of Judges. Okay? And again, in Benjamin, in the tribe of Benjamin, no leader, no king, no superheroes. Okay? So what we are saying in here, what we are seeing here, that this era was made different by small people, little people, unsung, unknown, insignificant in the eyes of men, but changing a generation with the power of God. Little people. You know what? This is how I feel. The church, the prosperity of the church is never about certain worker. You can have a gifted worker, talented worker, or a very eloquent worker. Wow, able to perform miracle, give a heart-touching message. Okay. They might be able to do something. They might be able to do something. But just one person or two persons can never change the church. The prosperity of the church is always based upon the common people, the members, the one that secretly, silently, and effortlessly take on all the duty of the church day and night. That's the true unsung hero in the house of the Lord. But sometimes we only eye on the chief, the leader. We want to be like the leader. We want to be the chief. We want to do this. We want to do that. But don't you know that the true hero in the house of the Lord, in the eyes of the Lord, often are the little small people that nobody mentioned or nobody know about. Though that they are not known, but they are remembered by God. Okay? You know about Paul, right? He was one of the greatest apostles in the human history. But do you know, without Barnabas, there's no Paul. Barnabas, who is not eloquent, who is not as gifted, who is not performing miracles after miracles. Okay? But Barnabas was the small people who went through all the trouble in order to guide Apostle Paul to the right path in serving the Lord. Whenever you are looking at a great worker or you are looking at a prosperous church, you have to see that behind there are many invisible hands of prayer that make things happen. Okay? So today, God might have different plans for you. Some of you might be like Shamgar. Some of you might be like Deborah. But some of you, that God planned for you to be small people. Small doesn't mean insignificant. Small doesn't mean that you are not important. Even you are not known, you live as a common life, you serve the Lord silently for the rest of your life, but at the end, when you leave this world, you might see that angel line up for you and the Lord wait for you at the gate of heaven. Okay? We don't know how God arranged for you. Either you are going to be a powerful leader like Joshua, or you are just going to be a commoner. But hey, Zebulun and Naphtali, they were the ones that were mentioned as a hero in this victory. Okay? That's the second thing that we need to remember. Number 3, we have another group. Let's turn to Judges chapter 5, verse 15. Here says that, and the prince of Issachar were with Deborah, and Issachar, so was Barak, sent into the valley under his command. Among the divisions of Reuben, there were great resolve of heart. 16. Why did you sit among the sheepfold to hear the piping for the flocks? The division of Reuben have great searching of heart. 17. Gilead stay beyond the Jordan. And why did Dan remain on ships? Asher continued at the seashore and stayed by his inlet. Okay? Now, we have another group. We have the Reubenite. We have Reubenite, we have Dan, we have Asher. Okay? Reuben, he was the firstborn of Israel. Okay? He was the oldest son. Reuben were the first son of Jacob, and also the first tribe, the leader tribe of Israel. But of course, as we all know, that his firstborn right were deprived, taken away. But however, even the firstborn right were taken away. If you look at the number of population in the tribe of Reuben, they are still considered the big tribe. But at this important battle determined the future of Israel. Even Zebulun, even Naphtali, they are small tribe. Zebulun were in the battlefield. Naphtali sacrificed their life. Everybody follow Barak, running down the village, running down the hill, and ready to engage themselves in a warfare. What is Reubenite doing? Here says that they have great search of heart. Is this a good thing? All right? Is this a good thing? Here it says that they have great resolve. Great resolve, great searching of heart. This is talking about Reubenites. It sounds nice, right? Does it sound positive? Does it sound positive? Great resolve. I will make determination. I will do this for my Lord. I will fight the battle. I will be different. When you are making great searching of heart, when you are making great result, what happened to the Zebulun and Naphtali? People are actually engaged in battle already. Coward. Using this purely as excuse for not sacrifice. If you are making a great result for the Lord, this is a great humiliation. Deborah had no problem put them in shame. If you look how ironic. Before this, they say that they ran down Zebulun, sacrificed their life. Naphtali ran down the village. Okay? And then suddenly it says what? Wow. You know that you have this fierce battle going on already? Wow. That Reubenite sitting by the brook, still making determination. How cool. This is a great way. You know that Deborah is pretty mean. Let me tell you, she's pretty mean, as always. I'm not mentioning anyone. I'm talking about Deborah in the Bible, okay? Deborah has no problem really to put them in shame because the way that Deborah described it, really like slapping the Reubenites left and then turn on the other side. The people are fighting and die on the battlefield, and they are sitting by the brook, and they are sitting among the sheepfold, and they are listening to the sound of the pipe, and they were sitting there and say, I will do this for my God. Isn't that very ironic? A great humiliation. What does that tell you? It tells you that sometimes people using this as an excuse to avoid responsibility. I don't know if you did that before when church asks you, can you help this? Oh, you know what? I'm still praying about it. Oh, you know what? I need to cultivate myself first before I can serve until I'm perfect. You will never be perfect. You will never be perfect. Nobody will ever be perfect enough to take on any of the holy work. You can only try your best, and then with the strength of the Lord, that you gather your courage and you go on. So please do not allow cultivation as an excuse for you to dodge responsibility. This is what happened. They have this wonderful, wonderful reason. I'm still thinking. I'm still praying. I'm still finding, searching in my heart how I shall serve the Lord, while other people are in the bloody battle, fighting for the Lord already. Okay? And same thing with the Asher and with the Dan. Okay? You talk about Gilead, Dan, and Asher. You keep on mentioning something. They are on the other side of Jordan River. They are by the seashore, and they are on the boat. Did you realize that? What does that mean? It means, not my problem. As we know that after they enter into the land of Canaan, that 2.5 tribes will stay on the east of Jordan. Some tribes stay on the east of Jordan. Most of the tribes are on the west of the Jordan. You know this, right? So now, this part, their brother were in great war, shedding blood. Meanwhile, some on the other side of the river say, ooh, wow. Okay, like looking at a show. For them, it's just a show. Just a show. Apparently that the death of their brother is not a problem. Apparently that the oppression to God's people they don't care. They do not care. Not my problem. And for those who are near the shore, who are on the boat, who are ready to just hop onto the boat and sail away, Deborah mentioned their name as well. In the church, there are always people who are able, who are willing to, when they see trouble, when they see issue, when they see the need of the church, they will say, "Here I am, O Lord, call me." But there are also some say, "Not my problem, call him, call her." And you know what? It will be recorded. All this will be recorded in the Song of Deborah, in the Song of Victory. And in this Song of Victory, you will play different role. So at the end of the journey of your life, what kind of people you are or you will be, it all depends and based upon your decision today. You can always say, "Hey, not my problem." You see something went wrong, like you see a child is misbehaving, not from your RE class. What do? Do you go over and help and correct? Or you say, "Oh my goodness, who is that? What class came from? RE teacher, terrible job," and then you just walk away. Or you see there's something that needs to be cleaned in the church. Instead of reaching over to help, you say, "Who is the cleaning team? Who is the cleaning team? Terrible, irresponsible." You can either play the role of Deborah, or Naphtali, or Zebulun, or you can be like the Dan, Asher, or Reubenites, and you can always say, "Not my problem. Someone else needs to handle it. It's the pastor's problem, council's problem, RE coordinator's problem, any problem, but never my problem." You know what? If it's never your problem, perhaps this is never your home. If it's never your problem, perhaps here is never your home. That's why you don't care. Okay, so this is the third group. So in here we see that in the Song of Deborah, it mentioned 3 different groups. Lastly, let's turn to chapter 5. Chapter 5. In chapter 5, verse 21, "Then the horse's hoof pounds the galloping of his steps." Verse 23. 不对 Wrong. Verse 21 now. 21, "The torrent of Cushan swiped them away. That ancient torrent, the torrent of Kishon, O my soul, march on in strength." So at the end, despite facing all different people in this battle, finally Deborah said, "O my soul," marching forward, marching on with strength. So this is the conclusion for this class. Not for this class. We got more. Right? This is the conclusion for Deborah. This is the final statement that was remembered about Deborah and was remembered by God. He says that, "Oh my soul, you just have to march forward in strength. Despite you have cowardly leader, despite you have the tribes who cares not about the future of Israel, okay? Despite owning little people by your side and fight with you, it doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter what the circumstance. Oh my soul, marching forward in strength." In your servitude, in your future, you are only J2, you have long future in TJC. And in your serving, there will be time that you are very lonely. Not maybe only a few people having the same mindset. There might be time that you find leaders are not taking up responsibility. There might be time that you feel people do not care. And you have this great discouragement, this great disappointment, and you really want to say, if they don't care, why should I? Forget it. But at this moment, allow yourself to remember what Deborah said. Oh, my soul, marching forward in strength, for the Lord shall repay. That's all, praise silence.